This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we have a rumbling Maytag dryer. This is what it sounds like. So even when you open the door, you can still hear that rumbling, and that's due to a loose blower wheel like this one here. These are pretty cheap. It's only about 15 bucks at Amazon, and this is just something you have to replace probably at around the 10-year mark. So we're going to unplug it, and then we're going to remove this middle panel by removing 2 Phillips head screws. Get that middle panel off. Kind of make sure it's unplugged. We're going to remove 2 little bolts from the top, and then we can hinge the whole front cover out towards you at about 45 degrees. And there's some clips at the bottom right and left hand corner holding it on, but first you remove the bolts, tilt it towards you, and then you're going to remove 2 wires for the door switch. They're modular spade connectors, so you can just pull them off. Once you have those off, you can lift the front panel off of the bottom 2 clips and just get it off to the side. It is hooked up still to a lot of wires, so one other thing you can do before you lift it off is to loosen up the little wire harness that's in the lower right hand corner. And it's got a bolt holding it into position, so you just loosen that bolt, get it off, and then you'll be able to keep all the wires connected, and you can set the entire front panel off to the right hand side of the dryer. You do want it to be supported, because if it fell suddenly, a lot of the wires would become disconnected. So I got that off to the side. I just pulled out 1 wire for the moisture sensor. It's just a spade connector, and I'm going to be removing now the front section here that's holding the tumbler in place. So we have to remove 4 different screws from each corner. We call this thing the bulkhead, so we can remove those screws. We have to lift up a little bit to get this off. And in this particular procedure, we don't have to remove the tumbler, nor do we have to remove the belt, just this bulkhead to get it out of the way. And here's where the blower wheel is. We got to do a little bit of disassembly to get it out. See how it's just spinning and the shaft is not spinning? They should be spinning together, but it's just worn out. So I sped up the camera a little bit, and we're going to be removing these peripheral screws that are holding on the front of this ducting. Once those screws are off, you can pull this front ducting cover towards you, and then it's pretty easy to take off the blower wheel and put the new one back on. The motor shaft is what's called keyed. It's round, but one section's flat, and then the blower wheel has the same thing going on. It's partially round and it has a flat section, but when they wear out, the whole part becomes rounded, and it no longer is really connected well to the motor shaft. So the motor shaft spins and the blower wheel doesn't spin. So we get that off, and now we're going to grab our pliers and remove a little spring clamp that's around the shaft. There's 2 things holding it on, the spring clamp and then a circlip. We're going to use these circlip pliers to fit into 2 little holes on the circlip to expand it out. We can pull the circlip off the shaft, and then we can grab the old blower wheel and pull it right off the shaft. Here's the new one, and there's the flat section and then the round section. So we'll put that on, we'll twist it until the 2 flat sections line up, and we'll push it all the way in as far as it'll go. And we're going to add the spring clamp. It should come actually with a new one. Put that on with our pliers. Then using our circlip pliers, we'll expand the circlip a little bit and fit it over the front of the shaft. That locks on the blower wheel. So that's lining up really good, and that basically solves the problem. Now we just have to reassemble it. So we're going to take the front of the ducting housing and put that back on, and then put in those peripheral screws. Take your time to line that up. I'll zip those screws in. We sped up the camera a little bit again here. These are really good washers and dryers. When Maytag was making these prior to being bought out by Whirlpool, they made a really good machine that just lasted for years and years. More modern ones aren't doing as well for longevity, but they're good machines, just not lasting as long. So the things that can make a rumbling sound can also be the wheels that are supporting the dryer. This model, though, it's supported by bearing rather than wheels. So if you do have a rumbling, you know that that's going to be the blower wheel. But other models have little rollers that could also cause a rumbling. So putting the bulkhead back into position, and then we're going to lift it a little bit, and it actually has a tab that lines up with the frame. That'll help you out to line up the holes. Once you've got those in position, you can add those 4 screws back in. I'm just getting the wires ready for the door switch. Putting the moisture sensor wire back on. I'm going to carefully pick the front panel back up and then set it down on its clips. And I just want to be careful that I don't pull any of those wires out of the control panel. Set that down on the clips. And I'm going to feed that wire up in there for the door switch. And there's a blue and a yellow wire. It can go either way. It's not important. There's no polarity issue. Okay, now we can close the front panel and put the two bolts back in at the top. Put that little bolt back in also that holds the wiring harness in position. Put the front panel back on. Put in those two Phillips head screws that hold it. And turn it on, back to normal. Hope that's been helpful to you, and please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance. Thanks for watching.